Death's manifestation examines existence. Some people are stuck in coffins, while others are tucked away in urns. In this setting, a group is already dealing with the latter. One member curious asks about total number of turns around, and another person answers that total is 33. However, they have to finish their job today because sun is rising on the horizon. So, they grab a shovel and start the job of filling coffins with cement. At the same time, another group member gets some tobacco and throws it in completely different direction. Someone thinks about kind of life they were living, wondering how they got to this point. A striking young woman known as Snow White captures their attention. Team leader Kim raises his hand and asks supervisor why she has that name, since she does not look Caucasian but instead appears to be an ordinary Asian woman. He sees her as too delicate to be considered target. The supervisor responds cautioning Kim against making judgments based only on surface traits or ethnicity. This reveals that Anna, the person called Snow White, is current leader of the Yakuza syndicate. She embodies a dangerous figure. She got her nickname because of her reputation as main distributor of pure cocaine. The supervisor informs the team that Anna is. However, there is more to her story than meets the eye. Although her position is powerful, it is also filled with risks. The planning of a drug-related meeting in a hotel happens after discussions with local group known as the International Faction. This event is very important, especially because the number of security people will be limited. Their goal is clear: to eliminate Anna and stop the illegal flow of drugs disguised as a conflict within the organization. No one is allowed to have guns at this point. However, a person wearing glasses walks in and tells Kim that the task ahead will be really tough. This, in fact, is exactly why Kim was chosen as top agent. He says, "I trust only you, team leader Kim." With confidence, Kim replies, "Leave it to me." In this moment, we see Kim coming out of an elevator located in the hotel where the mission is set to happen. After he steps out, he unexpectedly runs into a group of gangsters who are surprised to see him there. One person in the group asks why he is there. Kim quickly tells his teammates that he has managed to get into the place. Then, he pulls out a knife, and when the gang members prepare themselves for a fight, Kim moves forward slowly. However, without any warning, he jumps at them with incredible speed. The gang members, briefly shocked, do not hesitate to start attacking. One of them tries to. As Kim is suddenly attacked with a knife, he quickly blocks the attack one, disarming his attacker and then slashing the man's throat. The gangster instinctively grabs his neck, trying to stop the blood, while another attacker quietly sneaks up on Kim from behind, ready to hit. However, we suddenly find ourselves back in the briefing room, where the supervisor is explaining the mission to Kim. He says that about 10 non-combatants must be neutralized and guesses that over 20 will be there. After this, he asks how many agents are needed for entry. Kim answers by saying that 3 agents, himself included, would be enough. After a short pause, the supervisor asks if Kim thinks that number is too high. Kim replies that, although this is an extermination mission, they have to be completely prepared, because any mistake could be costly. When he returns to Kemet Hotel, he stays determined no matter how many Yakuza members might face him. He has strong confidence that neither he nor the 2 men he calls his brothers can be beaten. In the dimness of the area, a figure appears, holding blood-dripping, curved knife. Dressed in mask and a black suit, he stands over a pile of gangsters' bodies. Through his earpiece, he asks the protagonist if he sees the situation. However, the tension in air is thick because both know possible outcomes that could follow. Although Kim thinks he is well prepared, this moment could change everything. The task is, in fact, surprisingly easy. The protagonist, let's call him Alex, urges his companion to stay focused on what they need to do. Here, it becomes clear that he and his 2 friends are top survivors from hell. After each member finishes their job of taking out gangsters they encounter, they move closer to their target's location. Standing in front of the door, Alex tells his friend that everyone inside one will be on drugs and that there is only one way out. This means they must block it and get rid of everyone inside. However, they need to be careful. Things could go wrong. Although the plan seems simple, it's crucial to act quickly because time is running out. As he reaches out to grab the doorknob, both he and his friends are momentarily shocked by the horrifying scene in front of them. A bunch of bodies scattered across the floor, looking like massacre that has definitely happened. Alex quickly tells them to search the area for their target among chaos and firmly shuts the door. At that exact moment, he realizes that door's locking mechanism is now in place. He wonders who could have locked it, especially because both entrance and the door were open before. The room is cloaked in darkness. However, at that moment, a chandelier lights up the space. Still, main character struggles to fully open his eyes. They haven't adjusted to sudden brightness yet. This problem seriously affects his ability to see clearly. It is then that he spots girls standing in front of him. Although he tries to focus, the light is still way too bright. Yet he feels a strange pull towards her. It's hard to explain because there's something about her presence that really matters to him. This feeling is ineffable. However, he can't quite figure out why. Although he tries to understand it, he finds it difficult to put into words, and that frustrates him. As questions arise about their plans, the main character and his friends are shocked to discover that the woman in front of them is, in fact, Anna. They see a dark red glow surrounding her, which is eerie as she casually holds a severed head. Without hesitating, she tosses it away. In that moment, the main character's friends feel fear. However, he experiences for the first time the cold touch of facing death. Anna stares directly at one of them, leaving him completely speechless. Then, she slices through the head she was holding and throws it toward him, forcing him to catch it. The young man is surprised totally when he grabs the head. But before he can really understand what's going on, a projectile, similar to a bullet, pierces it. It hits his neck, causing him to die in just a few seconds. The second guy, filled with rage after his friend's death, rushes at Anna in a wild attempt for revenge. The main character tries to stop him, knowing something is seriously wrong, because he can't move fast enough. The second man's head, just like that, gets penetrated and his blood for some reason splatters onto protagonist's face. This causes state of paralysis. However, he finds himself unable to react. Although he has strong desire to act, he is stuck in place because of how sudden whole situation is. Astonishment surrounds the scene as Anna beams with wide smile, telling the protagonist, no matter how many bugs are around, they're just bugs unable to do anything important. The protagonist, filled with deep anger after what happened to his friends, struggles to keep calm. He suddenly realizes that the being in front of him is very different and that running away isn't an option anymore. In that moment, Anna points an object at him with her finger. The protagonist, surprised, sharpens his focus and sees that it's a tooth. The tooth flies toward him, almost hitting him. However, he skillfully dodges it at last second, only getting small scratch on his nose. Anna shows her surprise at how sharp and quick the protagonist was in avoiding her throw. Determined, he tries to get closer to Anna, lunging to land hit. But just as he's about to connect, she grabs his face and sends him flying away like pro baseball player. He crashes into ground, trying to regain his footing. He can't understand events unfolding around him. It's all too much while thinking about incredible power this accursed woman possesses. This situation is perplexing. However, he had never expected to meet such strength coming from her. Anna doesn't give him the chance to think about feelings. She lifts high up into air and then lands on his leg, crushing it under her foot. The protagonist lets out a scream of extreme pain, while Anna, with a wicked smile, waves her knife around. She expresses how much she admires him, then plunges the blade into his hand, telling him to keep entertaining her. As the protagonist feels a storm of anger building inside, he hears Anna say that she finds her actions fun. He struggles to get up, loudly asking if she really thinks murder is enjoyable, shouting right in her face while questioning her beliefs. However, in a moment of desperation, he uses the only way he can fight back. He bites into her neck with all his strength. Anna starts to bleed, surprised by his intensity, but the protagonist stays determined. He grabs a sharp piece of glass from ground and pushes it into same wound. She falls on top of him, lifeless. The protagonist feels a quick sense of relief, thinking he has finally avenged his fallen comrades. He offers an apology to them for his failure to save them. However, a deep sense of dread hangs over him, suggesting he might soon join their ranks. Suddenly, blood starts to pour from his. As he lets out a terrifying scream, Anna, who's trying to regain consciousness, pulls the shard of glass from her neck with force. Biting me was quite an impressive move, she tells him. The W, a mysterious creature, quickly starts its self-healing process. The main character, stunned for a moment, struggles with the harsh truth of the being in front of him. However, he can only think so much at once. A sudden, intense wave of pain hits him, leaving him deeply confused. Anna, feeling urgent, warns him not to waste valuable time trying to understand, because those efforts won't really help. He starts to convulse, blood flowing uncontrollably from every part of his body, while Anna watches with a confusing mix of fascination and worry. "I've never met anyone quite like you," she says, hoping he can survive the pain. The hurt grows worse, causing him to grip the knife still stuck in his hand, his veins bulging as if they might burst. Eventually, he gives in, collapsing in a completely powerless and still heap on the ground. Anna looks at him with clear disappointment, thinking he's pretty pathetic. At that moment, a group of her men comes into the room, asking about her well-being. Infuriated by their unnecessary interruption, she sends one away with a quick, decisive strike. The other men stand frozen in fear. Coldly, she commands them to clean up the bodies and, however they seem hesitant to move, this isn't what she expected, but she knows she must maintain control because weakness cannot be shown. As the preparations for their return to Japan, the atmosphere is tense get more intense. The story shifts to a ship moving across the wide ocean, carrying a barrel meant for disposal. Inside this barrel is the body of the main character. One of the workers in charge of the disposal notices something strange and points it out to his coworkers. His friend laughs, pointing at the main character, who appears to be standing up even though he was declared dead. He tries to calm his friend, insisting that the main character is really lifeless. However, the first worker expresses his thoughts about the deep hatred the main character must have felt to end up in this situation. He puts out his cigarette on Kim's neck, telling his coworker to bury him quickly so he can find peace. But both men are shocked when they see the cigarette burn mark fading on Kay's body. Suddenly, Kim wakes up determined to seek revenge on Anna. The two men in front of him can hardly believe that he is still alive after everything he has gone through. Kim is on the brink of entering the room where Anna and his friends are waiting. However, he suddenly finds himself alone in a strange place. A hand emerges from behind him, choking him and leaving him bewildered, unable to comprehend what is happening. Anna then appears and many hands seem to sprout from her body, wrapping around Kim entirely. She moves closer to him, congratulating him on his new success, telling him that he is now a day walker. In a panic, Kim opens his eyes, only to discover it was all merely a dream. The sun shines brightly, and he realizes he is on a ship, drifting in the vast sea. Struggling to rise, he becomes painfully aware of his naked body covered in blood. A bad headache strikes him as he attempts to recall what transpired, but his efforts prove futile. Terrified, he observes that everyone on the ship has been brutally slain. Their bodies are torn apart. He stands there in shock, contemplating the horrific scene. At that moment, a man dressed in suit and mask appears on small boat, calling out to Kim. He claims to be from headquarters and invites him to join because they can return together. After some time, they finally reach land and Kim enters car with the man. Kim, still grappling with trauma of what he has witnessed, asks, "What happened on ship?" The man's response is vague. However, it indicates that they are still. In the midst of their investigation, another man enters the car with them and poses a question to Kim. Had he truly completed his mission? When asked if he feels tired, Kim replies that he is fine. However, the man suggests that Kim should take a nap, especially because a long journey lies ahead. As the man turns to address Kim, it becomes apparent that he is donning a gas mask. Suddenly, gas begins to infiltrate the car's ventilation system. Kim starts to choke and inquiries about their plans, but neither of the masked men provides an answer. As the gas takes its toll, Kim succumbs to unconsciousness. One of the men seizes a phone and dials a number speaking to someone he refers to as the director, informing him of their successful capture of the specimen. It soon becomes evident that this director is the same individual who wore glasses and assigned Kim his mission initially. The director commends the man for his diligent efforts and instructs him to transport Kim to the lab for immediate dissection. After concluding the call, the director's hands tremble with excitement and a wild smile spread across his face. He murmurs to himself that he has finally attained what he has been pursuing. After some time, which felt longer than it actually was, the car carrying Kim keeps going on its dark road. However, the tension in the air is thick. As the director arrives at the lab, he orders all researchers to gather immediately when they open the car trunk to retrieve Kim. However, instead of discovering Kim, the boss prepares to commence the experiments on him, complicating matters. When one of the researchers raises the trunk, he is astonished by the sight. Instead of Kim, he encounters the two masked men lifeless. The researcher is bewildered, and before he can utter a word, a bullet strikes him squarely in the forehead. Suddenly, a barrage of bullets erupts from within the car, taking down all the nearby men one by one. The director remains motionless in shock. Within mere seconds, he finds himself the only survivor. At that instant, Kim emerges from the vehicle. Upon spotting him, the director swiftly pivots and begins to sprint as fast as he can.
I'm fast as fuck, boy. Still fast as fuck, boy.
Yelling for all units to eliminate Kim without delay. Meanwhile, Kim methodically prepares his gun because a contingent of armed men advances toward him. One of them attempts to stab him with a knife, but Kim deftly deflects the assault and shoots him in the head. He promptly dispatches two others with precise shots. Just then, another man seeks to exploit Kim's momentary distraction. Distraction serves to incapacitate him. However, Kim skillfully evades the attack and shoots the man's elbow, making him drop the knife. Next one, Kim ends his existence with a shot to the head. Noticing two more men charging at him, Kim quickly retreats to dodge the initial attack too, grabbing the first man's arm and making him lose his balance and fall. Kim then shoots the second attacker and plunges the knife into his neck to finish the encounter. Suddenly, Kim feels a threat coming and is shot directly in the head. The man who fired the shot moves closer, proclaiming that they have finally taken him down. Kim looks lifeless, unable to move. One of them then carefully steps forward to check if he's really dead, but Kim comes back to life in an instant, grabbing his gun and, jumping out from behind the car, keeps eliminating anyone trying to kill him. The guy who shot Kim is in total disbelief that Kim is still alive after getting a direct bullet to the head. Kim hits him, making the gun drop from his hand and starts choking him, while the man desperately begs for his life. Kim is consumed by rage, unable to comprehend how these individuals manipulated the situation, although he understands he must finish this fight. He and his team who had sacrificed their lives for the country were merely exploited for someone's personal gain. Flashbacks inundate Kim's mind. The moment he killed the two men who had kidnapped him resurfaces vividly. The documents he discovered in the car unveiled the truth. After examining them, Kim resolved to exact revenge against those who betrayed him. He advances toward the director, who turns around in fear. Kim strides toward the director, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. His entire body is drenched in blood, rendering him terrifying. However, this transformation is not solely physical. It signifies the anger that has engulfed him. Although he is aware of the risks, Kim feels compelled to confront his oppressor, because he cannot let this go. Despite having endured multiple fatal blows recently, however, he remains alive. Kim doesn't fully grasp what's occurring with his body, but he isn't dwelling on it. He's focused on his usual mission, gathering intel and eliminating foes. The director attempts to calm Kim down, asserting that he will elucidate everything. He tries to justify the situation, mentioning certain circumstances and even promising to assist Kim in securing a promotion. Kim's response is a bullet to the director's thigh, causing him to scream in agony. The director pleads for his life, attempting to speak once more, but Kim interrupts, demanding silence and an answer to his inquiry. Kim asks what they did to him. The director responds with vague statements about a misunderstanding, trying to stall for time. Kim retaliates by shooting him in the other thigh, commanding him to articulate clearly. Finally, the director begins to speak, asking Kim if he has noticed that he returns to life even after dying. This surprises Kim, and that his wounds heal rapidly. Kim is astounded as the director continues explaining that some of Anna's followers have similar abilities, although maybe not in the same amount. The director explains that, even with their recent rise, Anna and her group have become the strongest force in Japan. This is mainly, or maybe just because of the strange technology they possess. That's why the organization is keen to get this tech. As well, Kim jumps in, asking if that's the reason for sending agents like him. The director says yes, revealing that they sent many agents before. But all met bad ends, none managed to get any info, so they changed their plan and picked someone special. The director keeps going, telling Kim that he doesn't have to worry about dangerous missions anymore. Thanks to the power he's built up, he congratulates Kim on his hard work, saying he will rise to heroism. However, Kim finds this nonsense unbearable and shoots the director in the shoulder. The director screams again, asking why Kim keeps shooting him after he's told everything. Kim's fury escalates like a raging storm, and he retorts that the director speaks of making him a hero, however, secretly intending to reduce him to nothing more than a specimen. He queries if the director really believes this. He realizes the horror that he and his team faced during mission. He accuses director of not gathering enough info before sending them out, even when he knew things. When things were normal, Kim blames the director's greed for deaths of his comrades, saying that if it weren't for that, they would still be alive today. The director, still reeling from Kim's accusations, replies, "Let's say you have some strange abilities. Those Yakuza assholes are just people too, right?" He reminds Kim of his earlier words when he had said he couldn't lose to mere humans. However, the director then starts shouting at Kim, claiming this is his job, and they only died because they were on mission with a death wish. He becomes more agitated, declaring they did their duty by awarding medals to Kim's fallen comrades, and asks what all the fuss is about. Kim loses control, kicking the director hard in face. He pulls a knife from his pocket and tells the director to prepare to feel pain his comrades experienced, warning that this night will be long for him. The director, now terrified, begs Kim to wait. However, Kim remains unyielding, intent on launching his attack. Just as he is about to reach his target, a gunshot shatters the tension, striking knife in his hand and sending it clattering to ground. Kim pivots, eyes wide in disbelief, as a convoy of vehicles pulls up, brimming with soldiers demanding he surrender and drop weapon immediately. The director, irritated, bellows at them, questioning their delay in responding to urgent call. Troops swiftly disembark, forming a formidable line before Kim, weapons poised and ready to unleash chaos. Kim feels an instinctual sense of peril. He watches soldiers prepare for imminent onslaught, desperately scanning for cover. Yet, before he can make a move, soldiers unleash a barrage of bullets, mercilessly perforating his body. He collapses, lifeless, as one soldier barks in order to halt gunfire. The director strides over to Kim's fallen form, a smirk plastered on his face, and begins to ridicule him. "Ah, looking all high and mighty, serves you right," he jeers. "You ought to be tied up for eternity, granting us your bloody gladness. Can't you just resurrect yourself and mend those wounds? If so, keep pounding away." He scoffs, asserting that although Kim's supposed regenerative abilities exist, neither he nor the Yu's followers can escape this grim fate. However, withstanding a barrage of gunfire, director laughs derisively and tells Kim he's worked hard. Just then, a girl hanging from the ceiling calls out to the director, catching him off guard. She asks if the man lying on ground is Kim and introduces herself as one of Yakuza members the director had been talking about earlier. The director, shocked, quickly orders soldiers to eliminate her. Troops fire at her, but she vanishes in blink of an eye from her spot on ceiling. Suddenly, girl appears behind soldiers and one of them shouts a warning. However, she moves with incredible speed, slicing through them one by one. She continues slaughtering soldiers mercilessly. They cannot keep up with her extraordinary agility. Soldiers try to fire at her all at once, but they are stunned when they see her deflecting bullets with her knife. She approaches one soldier and swiftly decapitates him. Another soldier, frozen in shock, watches his comrade's head fly through air, but he doesn't have long to process it because she quickly sends him to join others. Fallen, meanwhile, a sniper carefully aligns his shot, aiming for the girl's neck, and with a decisive pull of the trigger, the bullet races toward her. However, to everyone's shock, she cleaves the bullet midair with her sword. The soldiers find themselves gripped by panic, pondering what kind of monster this girl could possibly be. Although they are trapped in fear, she keeps going on her deadly rampage with unmatched skill. She plunges her blade into one soldier's neck, then swings to sever his head. It isn't long before she has taken out all the soldiers nearby. The girl strides toward the director, swords in hand, standing right before him. The last thought that crosses the director's mind is that she is definitely a monster. In one quick motion, she decapitates him with her blade. Afterward, she moves toward Kim, kicking him as if to wake him from a deep sleep, despite the fact that he has absorbed more than 20 bullets in his body. The most shocking reveal happens when Kim surprisingly rises. She tells him that Lady Anna commanded her to bring him to her. Upon hearing Anna's name, Kim forgets the pain and becomes totally consumed. With rage, he stands up showing clear signs of transforming into vampire and commands the girl to get out of his way. She responds with corrections. It wasn't bring him in, it was bring him to me. However, the tension in air makes everything feel more intense. Although they are arguing, there's strange connection between them. This situation is complicated indeed, but they both know it can't end well.